Tapashi, welcome again. Hello, Thomas, welcome again. Hello, Dr. Basista Shah, welcome. Oh, he left. I see Rahim. Hello, Rahim. Welcome you to this session. We are expecting more people. Hello, Haley.
Hey, Sheik. Oh, I see that people have switched out of your room since I was joining here. Wanted to note that Stephen's and Jin's room only had a couple of people, so I might just move there and see if they want to combine.
Yeah,
Continue on.
I have 3 people and 2 of them from my previous session. And I see Rahim
Okay.
has joined here.
I will leave you be.
Yeah, okay. I see Legit Miley have joined. Hello, Legit. Can you hear me? Okay, thanks for joining. Yeah, now we are 5 people here: Tapashi, Thomas, Rahim, Legit, and me, Ashik Iqbal. We are expecting more people to join, but I don't know if we are gonna get more people or not. But for the introduction, I'm saying that as okay. Tapashi and Thomas was in the previous session. We were together, and I see Rahim has joined. I don't know if Rahim and Lizette, you were in the previous session with someone else or not. If you are, then it's fine, and if are not in the previous session, then I would like to give you some introductory instruction for continuing the session. Please let me know if you are present in the previous session or not. You can unmute your microphone or you can write in the chat box. But I would prefer if you unmute your microphone, as I am the only person speaking, so I would feel lonely. If you have no problem in talking, then you can unmute your microphone and feel free to talk to us. Okay, for the introduction, I am just having some light on the point that we are discussing about implementing uh, action for climate empowerment. Like in the previous part, we have discussed some of the examples in our community, and also we have discussed if there are no barriers, that what type of implementation on ACE we would like to implement in our community. In this part, we will discuss 2 questions: that what barriers and challenges do young people face in pursuing ACE at the global level? And then we will discuss that the barrier and challenges young people face in pursuing ACE in their regional, local, and community levels. Okay, we will okay, I can see Katrina have joined. Katrina, can you hear me?
Hi, yeah, so I'm Katrina Khan Roberts from Trinidad and Tobago. And I don't know, are we discussing anything yet?
Yeah, I'm just giving the basic instruction of this session.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay, I can see 1 minute people. Jonal have joined. Hello, Jonal, can you hear me? Hello, John. Okay, we have Ruani, and I can recall Ruani was in the previous session we were together. Hello, Jonal. Thanks for joining. We will give the intro instruction for the session, but before that, I would thanks Thomas for joining again. I would like to introduce ourselves between us, among us, and I see Brijesh have joined. Thanks, Brijesh, for joining. Okay, before going, yeah, Brijesh, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear. Hi everyone.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, before introducing ourselves, I am for your just for your knowledge that we will discuss two questions in this session. That is the barrier and challenges we face in our global level and as well as in our community or local level. Before that, for that discussion, we will have a Jamboard session. There we will write our answers and then we will discuss our answers among us. Okay, and I think that rather than introducing us in the chat box, I prefer to unmute ourselves and introduce ourselves to everyone. So at the beginning, I am Ashik Iqbal. I am from Bangladesh. I have completed my BSc in civil engineering and now doing my MSc in water resource development. Along with that, I am a member of YOUNGO and working for the Action for Climate Empowerment Working Group. So next, I would request, as Katrina did her little bio, but for some people have joined later, so I would request Katrina to uh, introduce herself again to everyone. Hi, Sonal. We are introducing ourselves. So please, Katrina, can you talk again?
Sure. Good day, everyone. Well, greetings. I'm not sure what time zone you're in. I'm Katrina from Trinidad and Tobago, and my background is in youth empowerment, as well as climate change, tourism, environment, and business development. And I've worked with the youth in Trinidad for about 10 years, and I look forward to contributing today. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Katrina, for introducing yourself. Now I will request Tapashi. Can you please unmute yourself and do a little introduction?
Hi everyone, I'm Debashi. I'm from India and I'm a member of YOUNGO and I'm working as an organizer at Fridays for Future India. I'm also a member of GLBN.
Okay. Thanks, Tapashi. We have one of our organizing member, Jin. I request I manage the new participant. Okay, Jin. We are introducing ourselves. Can you please introduce yourself for other participant?
Okay, thanks so much. So, hello, my name is Jin Taka. I'm also the one of the coordinator of the ACEWorking group, and also I'm also member of the YOUNGO major group of the children and youth. I'm so glad to be here. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Jin. So now I would like to request Rahim. Can you please introduce yourself? Hello, Rahim. Can you hear us? Okay, we will come back to Rahim again. Before that, I request Lijet to unmute yourself and introduce yourself. Okay, I am reading on behalf of Lijet that I am Lijet from Peru. Nice to meet you. I can, okay, it's no problem. It's okay. Thanks. She is from Peru. And now I request Jonel. Can you please introduce yourself?
Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you.
Um, um, it's already 1 a.m. in the Philippines. So, good 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 evening, everyone, or good morning. My name is Janelle Hinablaso from Philippines, and I'm currently taking up BS Chemistry and uh, um, active advocate. Then that's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now I request Thomas. Can you please introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you. Right, my name is Isaiah Thomas. I'm from the lovely Twin Islands of Trinidad and Tobago, where Katrina hails from as well. Um, I'm currently the national point of contact for the Space Generation Advisory Council, which is a very long name, which I put in the chat. um, call ourselves SJC, and we are basically promoting the Space for SDGs, which are all 17 SDGs and how space technology can support it to promote and continue develop sustainable development for everyone. And we recently got a huge donation from Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin, $1 million,
Amazing.
which we are very thankful of. And I look forward to working together with YOUNGO and everyone here today. Thank you.
Congratulations, Thomas. And thanks for the introduction. And so now I would request Somail Ansari. Somail, can you hear us? Or if you have any problem, you can write your introduction, your bio in the chat box. Okay, we will come back again. So what we are discussing at the beginning, that the purpose of this session is to discuss about the challenges and barriers. So I am sharing. Can you all share, see my screen? Please let me know if anyone have a problem in seeing the screen.
Yes, I can see. I can see. I can see the screen.
Okay, thanks, Jean. Here is the one guiding question, that what barriers and challenges do young people face in pursuing ACE at the global level? So in this answer, you will focus only on the global level, and this need not to be you yourself only. You can also share experience from other young people about pursuing action for climate empowerment at the global level. And in the second question, we will discuss about the barrier and challenges that young people face in pursuing action for climate empowerment at your regional, local, and community level. In that point, we will discuss at the very community level, like it can be your village, it can be your school, or it can be your college or your offices, and then it can be your country, or it can be your region. Like I'm from Asia Pacific region. So that are the two guiding question. And here you can see the sticky note point. You will click on the sticky note, and then in that question you will write your answer and then click save. I request you to put your name at the end of your answer, like you do a hyphen and write your name as well. Thanks. I will share the Jamboard link in the chat box. Okay. Do you all get the link, the chat box? Thanks. Please, I request you to Fill the answer in. Please join the Jamboard and write your answer. I see people from India, people from Bangladesh, people from Japan, people from Peru, from Trinidad and Tobago. I don't know Rahim and Somail Ansari from where, but I guess that we are gonna have diverse experience from diverse region. I request you to put your name as well at the end of the answer, like financing hyphen your name. The first question is for global level. Like you wanna work in an international organization or collaborate with any international program or something like that. In that section, what type of barrier or challenges do you young people face? And in the second question, we will discuss the issues and barriers for local level or community level. Okay, we are having answer. I would request Jin. Jin, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, Jin, if you want, you can take the floor and start with the answer.
Okay, so I'm going to, should I take a note, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, wait a moment. I'm going to set a note for you. Wait a moment. Okay. Please feel free to unmute yourself. Okay, I'm ready. So okay, I'm going to take a note for you.
Okay, I am sharing my screen with the answer.
Okay, I'm ready to take a note.
We are having different type of answer. we have two answer-related political issues. We have one answer of financing problem, two answer on financing problem, and finance and access to resource and research problem. Then we have the use of English language make it difficult for some Spanish-speaking countries to participate. Yeah, it's a good point that uh, in international program they mostly feature on English language. So people who are not familiar with English speaking, they face problem. Then communication and cohesive points are needed. There are many voices. Sometimes they get lost. Yeah, good point. Lack of dissemination of ACE opportunities so that young people can influence and become involved. Okay, that is one more good point. Another point is pressure to follow toxic or wasteful social norms. A lot of young people are hyper focused on earning a living and having a good time. It's really a, I do not say funny, but I would say that a pathetic point you have mentioned. So I would like to start discussing. If any one of you would like to start to discuss your answer, or one point we can do that we can answer the second question and then we start discussing both. So I request you to go for the second question as well. Like you press the next frame, and in this part you answer the barrier and challenges for regional, local, and community level. Can you access the second question? Please let me know.
All right. Well, since no one will start, I'll just go ahead with mine. So a lot of people, I can speak for my country. There's this, you have to go to school, you go to college, probably have parties with your friends, and then get a job, and then have a family and kick the bucket. It's like an assembly line, and these people, they do all these recreational drugs and alcohol parties. And when it's time to actually get serious and get down to business and say, hey, we have actual environmental and social problem, they're very out of it and you can't really relate to them. And it's kind of like they're out of reach and you can't reach out to them. And that is a sort of social problem. And then if you do reach out to them and you have like a good relationship, they're like, well, my other friends, they aren't doing this, or they
Yeah, Thomas, good point. Hello, we are missing you, Thomas. Hello.
um, have given up and they lose hope, or they lost hope a long time ago for whatever reason. And I think that's a challenge that we as youth champions will may have to face and deal with head on.
Okay, thanks, Thomas. I'm sorry, I was disconnected for a few times, and thanks.
I was wondering.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, but I guess Jean was here. So
Yeah, Jin.
yeah, so we didn't miss anything from you. We got your answer. So now we will discuss another point. I see that Katrina have wrote some incredible answer. I would request Katrina to unmute herself and discuss few points with us. about the finance and access of resource and research, and also about the communication that she mentioned.
Yes, thank you so much. So on the United Nations level, there has been there's a lot of unpaid work. So they expect volunteers to just, be able to give up their time and energy without any kind of compensation. And that is one thing that I know they're combating now. They, the thing about youth is that the the people who are in power are not necessarily youth. So youth in our cases are people under 35 internationally. In the Caribbean, it's different. Of course, they see youth as under 25, so it kind of limits the ability of people who are still youth on the international level to participate. And one thing that I see with the finance aspect of it is that you can't expect youth who are the underemployed, working, trying to make their way as well as educate themselves to lead a better life for the future. It is very difficult to do that without the financial support of a paid job. So that's one thing that I see on the international level, is that there needs to be more finance for youth to get involved in order for us to make a real impact. The next thing is the communication, because we're from so many different variant backgrounds. Sometimes, yes, you have the regional working groups and stuff like that, but the voices are sometimes distended and broken and not given the correct priorities. So for example, you have small island developing states speaking, then you have people from landlocked countries speaking. It's very disjointed. And so I think for the international level, sometimes there are voices that are going to be lost. And I think that there should be some kind of forum or some kind of mechanism that we could use so that, youth from all areas of the world are able to contribute, even with their own individual, um, you know, their own individual spaces and mindsets and particular situations that they're in. Thank you.
Yeah, good point. Okay, I am sending the Jamboard link again for anyone who couldn't. I see Ruwani joined. So, oh, sorry, she missed. Okay, I am sending the Jamboard link again. So if anyone haven't filled their answer, please use it. I see hand raised from Thomas. Please feel free to unmute yourself.
Hey, just to comment on the paid work, that is something that's very universal, I guess, for youth. And I was thinking that microfinance is a very good option, as we have different currencies around the world. Some people might need more, people might need, and studies have shown that at least as little as $4.
Thomas, we are not getting you. Maybe there is some network issue with you. Can you please repeat? Can you please try to solve the network issue or repeat yourself?
Help for a child.
Yeah, I see. I guess there is some network issue with Thomas. Okay, will come back again to Thomas, and at the same time we discuss other point. But also I request you everyone to write your answer for the second one as well. I am giving the link again. Yeah, I see Thomas joined
Sorry about
again. Thomas, I guess you have internet issue, so please can you please repeat your voice again, what you said earlier?
Sure, no problem. I was saying we could for the volunteers, you have microfinance. It doesn't have to be like an entire like living wage. For like example, in Trinidad and Tobago, we have a living wage of 3,000, and the exchange rate is about $7 to 1. So not really good at mental math, but it microfinance could be something small to help support us to get jobs and just live daily lives. And they actually had a lot of studies where they paid unemployed people just a little small amount, like $300, and they were much more happier. They were less depressed, and they got jobs quicker than if they were just left alone. So that's a great option for a lot of the bodies we have for volunteers right now.
Sorry to interrupt. We from the other breakout room, we just joined because we have only 3 people left. So actually 2, but so we decided to merge the breakout rooms together. So hi Ashik and everyone else.
Yeah, welcome.
So
Stephen,
hi to
welcome,
everyone.
Kathy.
Yeah, so Stephen and I are the other 2 facilitators. So I believe we have 4 facilitators now in this room. But yeah, I guess that's also great for kickstarting the conversation. So yeah, here are the 4 of us, and I guess but all the credits to these 3 folks because I'm not a member of ACE organizing team. Yeah, so all the credits to these 3 folks and also Serena. So yeah, and I heard that someone was talking about climate finance, which is great. So yeah, let's keep the topic going. And also just a brief heads up, we were talking about local and community level, and we just moved on to regional level. So what about you guys here?
Yeah, we are still talking about the global level.
Oh yeah, we came from 2 sides. We started with local and community level. So yeah, let's jump back to the global level.
Yeah, we did a bottom-up approach. So yeah, maybe we could continue with global.
Yeah.
As we didn't start global.
And also, I would like to Kathy and Stephen, could you please to help me to taking as a note? Actually, I know at that time I take a note, but and also I'm managing to some of the members who participants who comes to the breakout room sessions each time. So now I'm managing both of them. So once in a minute, new participants come to here. So could you help us?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Okay, here are some of our answers that we are discussing. Katrina and Thomas have focused on some great issues about financing and communication. And we have some more issues about political issues and also the different culture. I would request some other people if they want to discuss on this point, like Rohim, Lijit, do you want to speak on that point? Or Somail, you haven't talk anything about? Yeah, I see Kathy, please feel free to unmute yourself and talk.
Yeah, so yeah, as facilitator, I actually would love to say something about the global level. Also, another question is, could you please share the link again? Because I think we probably have different links to the Jamboard.
Sure.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, so I guess something that I want to share in the global level. So I have been following capacity building meetings and including the recent negotiations. And I guess one question, so just a brief update in case any of you have not been following that. So the Paris Committee on Capacity Building is the constituted body of the UNFCCC. And of course, it is very closely linked to the ACE. And YOUNGO, we are trying to advocate for youth stakeholders, aka us, and women stakeholders, aka also I'm representing both YOUNGO and the Women and Gender Constituency at their meetings to join their working groups, which are right now dominated only party driven. So they only have members of parties, aka countries. So that has been a challenge because we have seen countries advocating and echoing with our interventions at the meetings, and echoing the importance of youth engagement. but they have not actually turned them into action. So that is probably a challenge that countries, they do tend to say nice things, but sometimes it might not turn into actions. So that's probably one aspect I'd like to share.
Okay, then as Kathy is here, I have one question as a participant, not as organizer. As we are discussing the global barrier and challenges, the same question that people have asked about finance and communication, that Katrina was discussing about the funding that people are, we are having voluntary positions. So how the situation we expect in the future to have a paid position for the youth for working along with United Nations constituency, how we are expecting in for future.
Sorry, is that a question to me? Because I think my internet was lagging a little bit, so I didn't catch the question.
Okay, yeah, Kathy, I asked you as you are involved. Maybe it's on behalf of our other participants, because this issue was discussed a little bit, but I couldn't shed any light or for the future, for future. So the question is that as we many people have a voluntary working positions for global level, what is the future or what is the possibility of getting funds or getting these positions as paid positions in future for working in action for climate empowerment?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I think I am in a position that can shed a little bit of light, because I am also an active member of YOUNGO's Finance and Markets Working Group, and we are working on a project to map the current situation of funds, grants, scholarships towards youth and youth-led organizations. And also by profession, I work in private finance. So currently a summer analyst at a firm called JP Morgan, also will be joining another financial institution called Deloitte in 1 month's time. But of course, I'm speaking in my personal capacity as a YOUNGO member, and no comments on behalf of my firm. But yeah, about youth finance, we were actually talking about this in our previous breakout room, that of course, at this moment, most things and activities are voluntary, and sometimes even think tanks, big think tanks like the Chatham House has invited myself and another YOUNGO member to join their project on nature-based solutions. But it is voluntary, but they do have the capacity to pay composition. And although that, of course, my company, that's paid pretty good, so I'm not in need of those funds. But I guess our YOUNGO focal point, Marie Claire, has raised a very great point: is we can always ask for compensation, because they are they are well deserved for our intellectual property and also our knowledge. But if we don't need them, we can still donate them. So I guess that's an element of it. And so I guess that's the importance of getting paid, because we are sharing our knowledge that we gained through, I don't know, either university degree or activities throughout the years. So they're valuable knowledge and intellectual property. And I guess in terms of our current status of grants, loans, scholarships to youth and youth-led organizations, I'm afraid from personal experience and personal view, it is very limited at this stage. And of course, we hope that, and we have been advocating as YOUNGO, as youth and youth-led NGOs, we have been advocating for the support from government level, either at national level or international level. So at national level, I know that many fellow YOUNGO members and other youth advocates or activists have been advocating their country's government in terms of increasing funding towards youth. And of course, that is also part of Action for Climate Empowerment. So that's pretty much all I know about the national level. And in terms of international level, we have been, of course, advocating for the UNFCCC to increase funding towards youth in terms of specifically the topic ACE, and not just about ACE. Of course, we have mentioned this in previous ACE informal consultations of the UNFCCC, and also expert groups of UNFCCC. And Tim is not in the session, but he definitely got a lot to comment on this, I believe. But yeah, that's something from for international level on ACE specifically, advocating for finance towards youth. And of course, Haley's also not in this breakout room, but she has been mentioning quite a few times regarding the marketplace and also funding towards youth. And we've mentioned this during the SBs this year, which is the intersectional negotiation for COP26. And we've mentioned this in our, I think, opening remarks and also the joint the stock take plenary remarks that I made myself. But of course, the ACE part was written by Haley, and she mentioned the importance of ACE finance towards youth. And of course, we are advocating for so often is because we have seen very little actions. And that's a little bit on in terms of finance for ACE at an international level, and not just on ACE, because finance to youth on other topics, for example, finance, technology, the other mechanisms under the UNFCCC is also related to ACE, because, for example, if international level, they increase finance towards youth, that is also empowering youth, and that is also related to ACE, the topic. So we have been advocating, like for example, myself, when I made interventions at the financial mechanism meetings and technology mechanism meetings and capacity building sessions, and of course, a few other ones, I have always mentioned the importance of increasing finance towards youth in various topics, but of course, we have seen very little support at this point. And of course, international level, they could say that, you know, this should be a country decision to be made, and each country has their own situation, and so they have to make decisions based on their national status. And at a national level, they're thinking that international level, not much is going on, so you know, maybe we don't need to take the lead on that. And I know that I've been talking a lot, but just to briefly mention a little bit outside of finance. So, in speaking about national level and international level, the nexus, during the intersectional negotiations, we have heard a few parties, aka countries, have mentioned in terms of national reporting of things of ACE, and I don't think we're allowed to say which party, but I think Stephen was also an observer at the SBs, if my memory is correct, and maybe some of you were observers as well. But one party has said at the ACE session continuously, you know, every single week, that that they believe that their ACE reporting should be voluntary, which is of course something we do not support, because I mean, personal understanding is, if when you say that because, you know, our country is a bit different, and of course that country is not known internationally as a country that support youth or women's or human rights. So I think it's a little bit dodgy when personally, when they said things like, we believe our ACE reporting should be voluntary because we're a special country. Personally, I think that means they do not want to commit anything. And but that, again, that's just very personal views, and I'll give the floor back to Ashik.
Thank you very much, Kathy. That was a lot of things that we even expected, but fortunately, you joined this session, and we are having you this type of discussion and knowledge. And for people who joined, just joined, that at the we are discussing about a barrier and challenges on implementing ACE on global level, and also on our regional or national level. At the beginning, we have discussed some point from our participants about the issues and challenges in global level, and Kathy was responding some of their points. So those who have joined now, I am sharing the Jamboard link to the chat box so that you can share your ideas, thought in the Jamboard. We have two questions. One is the barrier and challenges do young people face in pursuing SC at global level, and second one is barrier and challenges young people face in pursuing action for climate empowerment at regional, local, and community levels. So I request you to put your answer here. And as we were discussing about the global level, we have two new answer. One is unstable. One is unstable or intermediate internet connection or lack of resource. Actually, this is the problem. We can't do anything. And also when there was no COVID situation and we were having programs in person, on that time the this issue was about travel funding. So I think the issue just have transferred in some other point, and we got one more answer about capacity building at UNFCCC. Parties may not be in favor to turn echoing to actions and actual finance toward youth. Yes, I think that is the point Kathy have discussed now. So anyone of you want to have any question or any point about on this point on global issues? Please raise your hand or feel free to unmute yourself and discuss. After finishing the global level issues, then we will go to the regional level. And if anyone of you haven't shared your views or thoughts or your questions yet, please feel free to use the Jamboard link. If anyone of you want to have any discussion.
Yeah, I would comment on the internet connection issue. I think it's very important for us to consider the digital divide, which is a lot of people do not have well access to internet. Although it seems like it's very usual for us, but there are a large population which do not have access to digital technologies and also internet, and especially good internet connections, which would enable them for wider discussion. And this kind of linked to the language, the barriers that is being mentioned before. But of course, for this forum, we are unfortunate because we do not have the financial capacity to incorporate translations, but it is a very important divide that we have to address.
Yeah, I see Kathy's raised hand. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I'd just like to echo with Stephen, and also a little question. I saw in one of the stickers, it says KKR, because I work in private finance. So for me, KKR means a private equity firm. So, but I think it's definitely not what I'm thinking. So, yeah, can anyone clarify that a little bit? Thanks.
I think Katrina wrote that answer. Katrina, are you still with us?
Oh, that's her name. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, they asked us to put names, and my name is really long, so I just put my initials.
That's smart. Yeah. And just for your reference, a very, very famous private equity firm is called KKR, and they're amazing. They're one of the best.
No.
Yeah, I see a hand raised from Thomas. Please go ahead.
Hey, just a comment. So part of my training is being creative and being a futurist, and what I've come across is that COVID-19 has showed us that we can work differently, and we don't need to work full time in an office 40 hours a week or more. And what just came across to me was that perhaps we could shorten private firm hours and splice in some form of mandatory voluntary hours, like a time slot that it cannot be touched by work life, not being forced by law because you don't want to be some kind of dictatorship or anything, but just to be like slightly below law that can be enforced. Yeah.
Okay, Kathy, please.
Yeah, I think that's a very, very brilliant idea. I personally give my full support, but as you know, that maybe some of you have heard of my firm, and whenever we're on the news about hours, rumors say we work 100 hours per week, which might not be accurate for some departments. Yes, but for my department, it's a bit better. But yes, I definitely agree in terms of the hours, and I think of course many companies in the private sector in finance and maybe in consumer, they have, for example, like 1 hour per week or a few hours per month to dedicate towards, helping a community to strive. And also an example from a bank, our bank, is that we invest in local communities. So for example, we have $50 million investment to help local business in Detroit, and another $50 million, that's how rich we are, in DC to help the local business. And of course, employees do spend some of their time to work on these things. But of course, I do advocate for definitely much more efforts to put into community level and also, of course, global level on action for climate empowerment.
Thank you very much, Kathy. So anyone have any more question or discussion on the global level issues? Or we will go to the regional or local level? Okay, I see no raise hand. So here in this point, we have our second guiding question. Oh, I see one question from Thomas. What's the name of that bank?
Sorry, I don't think it'd be great to share that. It's it's a bank that many activists would hate. But yeah, anyway, so a very famous investment bank. Yeah.
Okay, I have okay, Thomas, I have shared the Jamboard link again. Those who haven't shared your answer or thoughts on the second question of what barriers and challenges do young people face in pursuing action for climate empowerment at the regional, local, and community levels. So it can be at your school, it can be at your village, at your town, at your city, or it can be at your country or region, anything. We have few answers. I see one from Tapashi and 5 from Katrina, KKR. So at the beginning, we are having our answer that Tapashi said, communicating with politicians and business leaders. Yeah, I think that is one point, as most of our works based on voluntary. So I request Tapashi that do you want to discuss this topic in brief?
Yeah.
Yeah, please go ahead. Hello, Tapashi, we can't hear you.
Environment. Most of us are political leaders and business leaders don't show any interest on it. It is the main problem.
Yes. Tapashi, are you finished?
Yeah.
Okay, I think that the point you mentioned is very familiar to me. I am also from Asia Pacific region, and the politician and businessmen, I would say the capitalist people, they are mostly hankering after money. So they do not care about climate or any action for climate empowerment. So it's really a problem for us to communicate and get the response from political or business leader. Like if we have any type of program or business idea, then we can easily get funding and permission and get our politicians to come and join the program. But if we are doing any awareness program for environment and climate, they are less interested, because from this program any type of income isn't generating, or some I would say money or capital isn't working. So I think that is one problem I am also facing in my country. If any one of you want to add any discussion on that topic. So maybe from your region or from your experience, or experience from any other people you have heard about the politician and business leader. Okay, we go to the next discussion. Okay, Katrina have mentioned that in Caribbean context, lack of financing, engagement, empowerment, and disconnect between countries within society, tokenism, diverse issues. And also she mentioned a lack of opportunity, lack of jobs, corruption at all level, culture, social behavior, academic streamlining, ignoring work done by individuals or NGOs. Yeah, Trinidad and Tobago aged legislation, low implementation, slow change. Climate change is a priority on government level and not at all priority in public sector. Archaic social structure. Also, she mentioned about one thing about her personally, that no support for mothers, victim or violent crime, violent crime, overqualified for employment. Everyone wants free work, unemployment, voluntary work takes time with no support. The same thing we faced in the international level. Also, one thing she mentioned, debilitated public interest, societal norms, lack of option to do better, top-down approach which do not reach the community, no implementation. Katrina, do you want to discuss brief in those topics?
Sure, I know it's a lot, but that is my experience. So just a little context as well. I was part of the ACE Youth Forum in 2018 as one of the the Global South participants. And the thing is about me is that I have been working voluntarily for over 10 years in Trinidad, and it's the I don't know, the society itself is not conducive to enabling someone like me who wants to make a social change, who actually lives according to the practices. It's very difficult to make choices because there are less options, especially during the pandemic. It was very, very limiting. I mean, in terms of basic human needs, I always say that someone is not going to care about something if it doesn't affect their specific needs. And in my country, it seems that, you know, since we don't need to do better, we don't do better. I'm speaking on my own personal experience. Of course, this is not countrywide. At least I don't think so. But working directly with youth, like I said, for the past 10 years, that is what I have experienced.
Thanks, Katrina. One thing from Thomas, I second that. Do you want to unmute and discuss, Thomas? Okay.
Sorry, internet broke off for a bit again. But yes, I'd like to comment on it a little bit, if you don't mind. Yeah, as it comes back to, there's a lot of there's no ambition and there's no long-term vision for where we see ourselves going as a society. So our mission and vision is kind of non-existent. Hence, there's a lot of chaos, and the higher social classes, well, I wouldn't comment on higher social classes, but generally people who are just well off living how they are, they just, you know, purchase the solutions to the problems however they can. And anybody else who can't afford it, well, as there's a saying that goes, crap will smoke your pipe, which means whatever happens, happens. And that's a challenge as well.
Yeah, thank you, Thomas. I think that what yeah, thanks, David. I think what Katrina mentioned is not only problem of herself. I think many of us who work on the climate change actions, we face same type of issues in our local or regional level as well. And we got some more answer. We will go to them, but before that I want to ask again that if anyone have any more comment or discussion on the point that Katrina mentioned, please raise your hand or feel free to unmute yourself and start discussion. Okay, we have one point from Stephen that civil society's awareness. Many people in China still think that climate change is a fake issue, especially on social media. I think that's really a great point to discuss that it's not only many people in social media. I can recall that maybe President Trump also said in his one program that climate change isn't happening. So it's not only people on social media or local people, but I would like to hear it from Stephen. Stephen, can you please discuss this topic in details?
Yeah, sure. So it's a very big issue, I would say, because if anything were to start on empowering people, the first thing is to let them believe that this is a real thing. Otherwise, you just cannot have the conversation because people are still thinking, and I think a large proportion of people on social media, especially, where people are expressing the view that climate change is not real, and they're using some things like saying that the Earth is much warmer than what it is right now before, or saying something like microorganisms have much larger emission than us. But I think those are not the real issue, because the real issue is human is trying to destroy the carbon cycle, which in cases in the historical record had led to mass extinctions. For example, the appearance of plants, which led to the completely destruction of carbon cycle and then led to mass extinction. So it's not an issue of the absolute amount, it's about the issue of breaking the dynamic equilibrium. And people do not understand that and still say that the Earth was much more warmer than today, but they didn't realize the temporal scale. That is the rate of change, which is unprecedented right now. And I think that is the first step that we need to proceed, which is to at least make people believe that this is something that is already happening and will still continue to worsen if we don't do anything. And that is the first step for any further conversations. So I would say it's a very important barrier in terms of implementing ACE.
Thanks, Stephen. Katrina also texted that same thing I was thinking, Stephen. I think that science is not translated well. So that's where we have to make it known how they are directly affected. Katrina do art, poetry, and storytelling, but even then, interest is very much limited. I completely agree with this point. One story or one news I had read earlier, maybe 2 years earlier, but I don't know I am if the story, if the news was authentic or not. But I'm just sharing. And that president of Brazil, maybe he had said that if they cut down the trees of Amazon, it wouldn't affect the environment, as I recall. So if it also connect with the point that Tapeshi mentioned, that if the politicians are not willing to join us or say things like that, then how can local or general people can be empowered, or can maybe get acknowledged to these issues. So I think that this is really a good point you have mentioned, and along with the young people or activists, I think that the politicians can play a very vital role. Like local people do not listen to the scientists regularly, nah, but they listen to their community leader, their politician. So if along with the youth people we can also empower our politicians, I think it can have a better impact on implementing ACE. Thanks, Katrina. Said that this is where youth and early childhood education will eventually change the mindset of future politicians. Yes, thanks, Katrina, for mentioning this. Uh, we also discussed this point in our previous session, that some of our participants had said that they would like to introduce climate education in the school level. So we are discussing that if we are now discussing about empowering youth, empowering politicians. So if people are already empowered about climate actions from their childhood, we do not need to discuss about empowering people in their youth. Thanks, Stephen. Incorporating scientific basis of climate change in national level curriculum is very crucial. Thanks for mentioning. Yes, I'm completely agree with this point. If anyone of us want to have any discussion on that point, please raise your hand, or you can text in the chat box, or we can go. Okay, we have one more response in the Jamboard, that is law enforcement, since not all do follow these rules. I do not know who answered this point. If you want to unmute yourself and discuss this point in brief, please go ahead. The point about law enforcement. Okay. If you have any problem with microphone, you can write in the chat box, then we can read it out for you. And in the meantime, I am getting a message from Katrina about youth is so fleeting and short. We have to work faster. For me, I am teaching my son so he can make a change, as I am at the end of my youth soon. Okay, maybe he can do better, because I know my personal experience as a woman meant that in my society, I was not taken seriously. Yeah, we got the point that it's not only you, or as a woman, we all of us are not having or having a same type of experience, that we are not taken that much seriously when we talk about climate change. But when we talk about career or job, we are taken seriously. But when we talk about climate action or environmental degradation or carbon emission, on that point, the thing that we are facing this type of problem. So, Patrick, I guess we're having any response or discussion from you. But in the meantime, I would like to say a few words on that point, that about law enforcement. Yes, as we have discussed in the previous part with Stephen, that if politicians can force it maybe to the local people or to the businessman or industry owner, that you will have to do, you will have to purify your air, or you will have to purify the wastewater before dumping it in the environment. In that point, this can empower climate action in a very large scale. Like we know that most of the degradation in climate are the result of uneven industry or production. So if we have that much good law enforcement, it can definitely reduce the climate change effect, and have empower our climate actions in government level, in industry level, in business sector, but also that allies with the government and politicians. So one thing that is coming again and again about, along with empowering youth, empowering the politicians as well, especially for when we work in our regional level or in our community level, because in global level we got that support from maybe from UN or from UNFCCC or any other international organization. But when we start working in our regional or in our community level, we do not get that much support or that much help in our locality or in our community. And also from when we work in our community, we cannot ask help from an international or global organization or people. So we need to empower our local people or local government initiative as well. So anyone of you want to discuss on this point of law enforcement? Please go ahead. Uh, I do not see any hand raised. Lizette, do you want to speak on that point? Okay, I do not see anyone having any conversation on that point. If anyone, you have any more point, you can write it in the Jamboard. Those of you who haven't done it yet. For you, I can share the link again. Stephen, do you want to say something on the overall discussion?
Maybe kind of going back to the point of communicating to the politicians or other public sector people, which is, I think, again, that is a very important barrier because, you know, the first step of being in a national or an international position or delegate is to contact your local authority or politician. But in some respect, it's relatively hard in China, as we do have a kind of an authority for the community, but it's not really related to the bigger issues like climate change. It's more kind of related to issues like COVID restrictions, which is yeah. So we don't have the opportunity to connect with them in terms of doing things related to bigger issues such as climate change. And the only way we could do that is to higher levels, which municipality level or even at a province level or even at a national level, which is harder to reach out because they are in higher levels.
Okay, thank you, Stephen. I see Kathy's raised hand. Please, Kathy, go ahead.
Thanks. And I just want to echo with Stephen. And an example is the high-level political forum this week. So I think it was Thursday that China had to report their national review on SDGs. And I wrote part of there's the statement of China's major group of societies, so including youth, women, indigenous peoples, business, like all the major groups. And we raised concerns on, we asked China on how, what is their plan in engaging with civil society stakeholders, especially youth and women and indigenous peoples in sustainable development. The reply from the ambassador at the high-level political forum was he did not respond. He just dodged the question. So I guess that sort of showed something. So yeah, unfortunately.
Yes, Stephen. Oh, I see one raised hand from Thomas. Please, Thomas.
Hi, so as you mentioned, China, which is very interesting because I know they had a very controversial debates on how they're contributing to climate change with the coal burning and whatnot. And they made a big point on how while they were burning for lifestyle for survival, the other countries contributing to climate change in terms of lifestyle, in terms of transport emissions and whatnot. So maybe the larger Western hemisphere should shoulder more of the climate change action. So I was wondering if there's sort of a progress on how you all aim to tackle this problem.
Yeah, Stephen, please.
Yeah, kind of just echoing what is just said. I think in terms of climate change mitigation efforts, I think China actually did pretty well in terms of the goal set of mid-century carbon neutral target. I think the part that we are missing from is, of course, the participation from minority groups like youth or minority gender groups, and also from some more remote areas. And yeah, but in terms of the national determined contributions, I think actually it's very pleased that our president, Xi, actually announced that 2060 target, which is actually to some extent surprising because if you think about those industrialized countries, they have their target just 2050, which is only 10 years earlier. And keep in mind that China is a global south country and a developing country, which means that its historical total emission is very low compared to many countries, which I think that is a very pleasing point of the goals set.
Thanks, Stephen. Before going to Kathy, I got message from Blanche Patrick, who mentioned about the law enforcement point in a local level. He said that it has been a problem here in enforcing laws since not all follow the laws. Here in our region, the government has imposed zero plastic on Wednesday, but the stores are still using plastic. And solid waste disposal problems where the solid waste was dumped near a body of water and during heavy rains, it will flushed back to homes. Yeah, I think that's the point. We also discussed that point that along with the local people, we can see that the industry owner are not also following the laws. So that could have been one point to discuss later on the political issues or law enforcement issues. So we go to Kathy. Please, Kathy, take the floor.
Thanks. And I just want to echo with Stephen that that of course, I guess some of you know that developed countries supposed to pay $100 billion every year to developing countries to offset the so-called carbon debt, because we have to think about developing countries, global south countries are still trying to grow their economy, while at the same time, developed countries have been the one that created most of the emission since 1990, and so which is why the UN decided and agreed that developed countries should pay that $100 billion, which has not yet been paid, and that was supposed to be paid by 2020 to reach the goal, but of course it was not met. And the new goal is they will pay it this year, and they will actually exceed it this year. Although I personally do not know how they calculate that $100 billion, because I mean, if you include all green bonds and all investment in renewable energy and things like that, and also, of course, that I think in the original article, it says they should be paid by both the public sector, which are governments, and the private sector. So I think it's a matter of fact in terms of how to calculate it. But personally, I would agree with OECD's calculation that is far from being reached. So yeah, I just want to echo with Stephen that, of course, in terms of respecting human rights, I absolutely do not is not a fan of China, but in terms of efforts on climate change, I think they are making efforts, well, not in every single way, but in some ways. And of course, they have actually treated this as a very serious question. So I think there are good parts, bad parts, but yeah.
Yeah, good point, Kathy. We have 5 more minutes. So any one of you want to discuss any point or have any question that we have discussing? Please feel free to unmute yourself, or you can raise hand. Otherwise, we will go on our closing remarks. But before that, I would like to have a virtual photo session. I would request you everyone to turn on your videos so that we can have a take a screenshot and have a virtual photo session. As in COVID days, we cannot meet in person. The only option is to see in, yeah, thanks Thomas, see in camera. So I request you everyone to turn on your cameras so that we can take a screenshot. Yeah, thanks David, thanks Jean, thanks Stephen. Okay, it's not problem, Katrina. If anyone have any problem in turning on your camera, it's okay. But those of you who can turn your camera on, please. Yeah, thanks, Tapashi. I see world map behind you. Yeah, so we will go in 5 seconds. So, okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, done with the first one. If you wanna take your own screenshot, please go ahead. You can put it in your social media. We will also share these photos, but you can take your own screenshot. We will now take another one. so that if anyone if have any objection that my face is not smiley, so you can take your time. Oh, I see Lance Patrick. Thanks. We are missing you, Lance Patrick. Yeah, now we can see you. So, okay, everyone, get ready. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ready. Yeah, thank you. So, thanks everyone for the photo session. And now we want to have a closing remark from Stephen. Please, Stephen.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. But I think we will do the closing after we get back to the main room.
Oh, sorry to interrupt. I saw one message from maybe Thomas that he asked about getting involved with YOUNGO. Am I right?
Oh, yeah.
Stephen, I guess we can circulate the link in the main room.
Yeah.
Then we can close the breakout room and we can go in the main room.
Yeah.
Okay, we have only 1 minute. So thanks everyone for joining the session. It was really an interesting session. We have a diverse diverse topic of discussion. We have issues. We have discussed about possible solutions. We have discussed about our own perspective. We have discussed about global perspective. We have discussed about organizational perspective. So I think that this will help us a lot in our future work in implementing action for climate empowerment in both in global level and in global local level. So thanks again for joining and see you in the main room.